Hmm. You feel it too, don't you? That silent pull, that quiet weight in the air. They don't say it aloud. They can't. Because it's not words. It's presence. It's a vibration you carry without asking permission. They sense something shifting. Something beyond reason. Something they can't place. And that unsettles them. They watch you. Not with eyes, but with questions. Questions that burn in silence. Why do you move like you know the game? Why does your stillness speak louder than their chaos? You don't answer. You never do. Because answers are for the predictable. And you are chaos wrapped in control. You are the contradiction they can't solve. You've learned the quiet is louder. The pause is sharper. The stillness is a storm waiting to break. People fear what they cannot touch. They fear what they cannot define. You've become that fear, not through noise, but through a presence they can't mimic, a level they can't climb, a power they can't name. It isn't arrogance. It's clarity. The kind that comes when the world stops trying to teach you their rules. You've stepped out of the mirror they hold up to themselves, and now you stand apart, untouched, unshaken, unseen in your work, but undeniable in their minds. And that is where the true game begins. Because here's the truth they never say. They want in. They want what you have, but they can't touch it. Not yet. And you know it. That's why you don't rush. You let them stir. Let them wonder. Let them descend into their own questions while you stand apart, watching the silence you've created. That silence. It's not empty. It's the loudest thing they will ever hear. And in it lies your power, the unspoken rule they will never break, the level they will never reach. They can sense it. They just can't understand it. Not yet. Power doesn't shout. It whispers, soft, patient, like a shadow curling around a flame. The louder they scream for control, the quieter you grow. And that quiet, it eats away at them. It seeps into their minds, makes them question, makes them wonder if they ever had control at all. That is the true danger. They mistake noise for strength. They cling to chaos thinking it's power. But chaos without purpose is just noise. You've learned the difference. You've learned that silence holds more weight than their shouting. That stillness can collapse worlds. And you carry it, not recklessly, but like a weapon polished in the dark. Every step you take is calculated, not in obvious ways, but in subtle moves they will never see coming. You don't announce your rise. You embody it. Every glance, every breath, every pause. It's a code they cannot crack, and it terrifies them, because it proves you operate on a level they can't even imagine. They watch for cracks, for weakness, for the moment you falter. But there is no moment. There is only the constant, the unshakable truth that you are no longer playing their game. You've built your own, a game without rules, without spectators, without permission. And that is what makes you unstoppable. This is why they are drawn to you, not because they understand you, but because they feel you. Deep, unknowable, unreachable. You've become a living contradiction, a force that exists beyond explanation. And that, my friend, is the apex of influence. And here's the most dangerous part. They want in, but they don't know how. And even if they did, they could never truly follow. Because following you means stepping beyond the boundaries they've built. And that they are not ready for. They don't just fear what you are. They fear what they see when they look at you. Not the face, not the clothes, but the energy, that quiet, dangerous energy that says you've stepped outside their map. You've crossed into a territory they refuse to chart. And it terrifies them. They search for answers in noise, in labels, in excuses. They tell themselves it's luck, it's chance, it's circumstance. But they know, deep down they know, you are something else, something they cannot define, something they cannot own. And that's why they circle you, not to destroy, but to understand. But here's the truth: they cannot accept understanding as weakness. Power lives in mystery, in being unknowable. You've learned to keep your moves silent, to cloak your strategy in shadows. So they grasp at air when they try to follow you. You've become a riddle without an answer. And that is your strongest armor. Every look they give you is a mirror, a reflection they don't dare face. You've broken their frame of reference. Their reality is fractured, and they are drawn to you not to conquer, but to comprehend. They can't. And that fuels their obsession. That fuels your power. And this is where it gets beautiful. You don't fight their fear. You feed it. You walk in silence while they shout. You move with precision while they flail in chaos. Every step is a statement. Every pause a challenge. Every glance a war they cannot win. Because they are chasing something they will never catch. And you are content with letting them run. Let them drown in questions. Let them collapse under the weight of their own doubt. That is dominance. That is control. That is your level. Discipline isn't chains. It's freedom. The world teaches them discipline as restriction. But you know the truth. Discipline is the force. The place where power is hammered into form. It is silent work. Invisible work. Work they will never praise. And that makes it yours alone. They rush. They shout. They burn bright and collapse. Because they don't understand patience. They don't understand that real dominance comes from the slow burn, the constant sharpening, the quiet sharpening of self. You've built your edge in silence. And that edge is what keeps you untouchable. Every habit you keep is a brick in your fortress. Every refusal to bend is a stone in your foundation. You don't stumble into mastery. You craft it with every choice, every second, every breath. Discipline is not a duty for you. It is a code, a language they cannot speak. They see your calm. They see your control. And they mistake it for ease. But ease is earned in the grind they never dare endure. You've made a pact with yourself. A pact to outlast, to outthink, to outmove. Discipline isn't just your method. It is your rebellion. And in that rebellion lies your crown. Because while they crumble under noise, you stand silent. While they tire chasing applause, you stand still chasing mastery. While they bow to chaos, you command it. That is discipline. That is power. That is dominance. And here is the cruelest truth. They can't take it. They can't replicate it. Discipline like yours isn't taught. It is lived. And you are living it every single second they fail to understand. Presence is not something you wear. It is something you breathe. It is the air that shifts when you enter the room. A weight they feel before they see you. Presence is not announced. It is inherent. And you carry it without even trying. They talk. You listen. They plan. You move. They act loud. You act certain. Because presence is not about volume. It is about consistency. It is about being unshakable while the world trembles. They can't name it, but they feel it. Every second, every glance, every pause. Presence is a language without words. It speaks in stillness, in eye contact, in the calm after chaos. You've learned to master that language, and they can't translate it. They mimic it. They attempt it, but they fail, because presence is not imitation. It is authenticity shaped by control. They follow, not because you call them, but because your presence becomes a pull, a force they can't resist. They are drawn to it like moths to a flame they cannot touch. They envy it, they fear it, and they can't escape it. Presence is not a skill. It is a state of being. It is a crown worn without claim, a power that exists quietly, yet demands attention. They do not understand it, and that is the point. Presence is your silent rebellion, and this is why they keep watching, why they keep wondering. Because presence is proof you've moved beyond their reach. You've stepped into a realm where no one can follow. That is dominance. That is power. That is you. Mystery is not hiding. It is revealing just enough to make them ache for more. It is a shadow with form, a riddle wrapped in movement. Mystery is a language that speaks to the mind before the eyes, and you have learned to speak it fluently. They try to measure you, to name you, to put you in their boxes, but mystery resists definition. It dissolves their maps. It leaves them lost, and there is power in their confusion, because confusion forces them to chase, to wonder, to return again and again. Mystery is an art, a subtle game of light and shadow. You give them glimpses, not the whole. You let them think they understand, only to slip further out of reach. Every silence, every pause, every unspoken thought becomes a thread in your web. They are drawn to what they cannot hold. They are intoxicated by what they cannot claim. Mystery is your magnet, a force that pulls without effort, and they do not even realize they are under its pull. That is the power of the unseen. Mystery is a form of dominance, not by force, but by absence, by the refusal to be fully known. They chase it because they fear losing it, and in their chase, they give you more power than you ever claimed. And here is the truth they will never admit. They are not drawn to you because of what you show. They are drawn to you because of what you choose to keep hidden. And that is the most dangerous game of all. Chaos is not destruction. Chaos is creation disguised in unrest. It is the brushstroke that shatters their picture of the world. Chaos is the truth they fear most, because it cannot be controlled. And you have learned to wield it like an artist. They believe chaos is a flaw, a weakness, a loss of order. But you know it is a language, a way to break certainty, to dissolve comfort, to strip away the illusions they cling to. Chaos is the forge where clarity is born, and you walk within it without fear. Every move you make carries it, not in noise, but in intent, in unpredictability. You do not rush chaos. You invite it. You shape it. You let it flow through your hands until it becomes your signature. And that signature is power they cannot counterfeit. They hate it. They fear it. They crave it. Chaos unsettles them because it reminds them of their own fragility. You have learned to plant that reminder, quietly, methodically, with precision, until it becomes their own shadow. Chaos is a weapon, not of destruction, but of liberation, a tool to tear apart the walls they build around themselves. You do not fear it because you have become its master, and mastery is dominance. And here is your truth: the world bends not to those who avoid chaos, but to those who own it. You are not chaos. You are the commander of it, and that makes you untouchable. Fear is not in their words. It lives in their silence, in the way their eyes linger too long, in the way their breaths catch when you enter the room. Fear is a mirror, and you have learned to hold it without flinching. They don't fear your power. They fear the truth it reveals, that they are smaller than they believed, that they are not the architects of their world, that they have been following rules they never wrote. And you stand before them breaking those rules without a sound. Fear is a language they cannot translate. They feel it before they name it. It hums in the air between them and you, and every step you take deepens it. Every pause sharpens it. Every look reminds them there is something in you they cannot touch. They search for the weakness, for the crack in your calm, but you have built yourself without cracks. Not because you are flawless, but because you have mastered yourself. That mastery is the mirror that reflects their fear back to them. Fear is not your enemy. It is your compass. It shows you where you stand above them, where your presence eclipses theirs. And you use it quietly, without noise, without chaos, with the calm precision of someone who knows the game has already been won. And here is the hardest truth. They cannot conquer what they fear. They can only chase it. And you become the question they can never answer. That is your dominance. That is your crown. Rules are illusions. They are the comfort blankets of the weak, the chains they pretend to call order. You know this. You see through it, and you've stopped playing by them. You've begun writing your own code, your own language of power. They build their cages and call them safety. They follow paths already walked. They worship the lines drawn by others. But you carve new paths in silence. Every step you take is a declaration. Every breath a rewriting of what they believed was fixed. You are the author of your own existence. Power is not found in obedience. It is forged in defiance. Every rule you break is a stroke of your signature. Every limit you surpass becomes proof of your freedom. They fear it because they know they cannot follow without losing themselves. And you know exactly where you stand. You don't just break the code. You create a new one written in presence, in discipline, in mystery. One that bends reality without shouting. That shapes influence without asking permission. That commands attention without force. That is your craft. That is your rule. Rewriting the code is not chaos. It is precision. It is the quiet work of mastery. And those who follow your path will never find it in a map. Because you do not hand it over. You make them earn every step they take toward you. And here is your truth. They will chase your code forever. They will try to replicate it, but they cannot, because the rules you live by are born from a level they can't even imagine. And that is your dominion. Dominance is not a title. It is a state of mind. The apex is not reached by force. It is claimed by those who rise beyond noise, beyond limits, beyond understanding. And you have already crossed that line. They measure power by what they can see, by what they can take, but you know it lives in something deeper, in the quiet certainty that you belong somewhere they cannot reach, that your mind moves in dimensions they cannot enter, that your will is carved in silence. Becoming the apex is not a moment. It is a process, a constant sharpening of self, an unending refusal to settle. You live it. Every breath a declaration, every choice a step higher, every silence a statement. That is the apex. That is mastery. They chase, they fear it. They whisper about it in the dark. But they do not know how to stand there. They do not know how to hold themselves at that level. because they lack the discipline, they lack the presence, they lack the code. And you have all three. The apex is not given. It is taken quietly, relentlessly, without asking permission. And when they look at you, they see it. Not as envy alone, but as a question they will never answer. And here is the truth that will burn in their minds. You have stopped competing. You have become the standard, and the world, whether it admits or not, bends toward it. That is the ultimate power. That is your